Hello, fellow YouTubers. I hope you are doing well today, and I would like to talk to you about another type of job idea for you if you are struggling to keep a job due to your mental health. Mental health could be anything as basic as depression, anxiety, PTSD. Some of those don't have to be basic, they can be extremes. You're talking borderline personality disorder, uh, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia, anything that makes it a little bit harder for you to keep a typical 9 to 5 job. And so that can help cause a lot of difficulties for you to keep that job. And it's really hard to want to tell your boss that you struggle with mental health. And so you could even tell them that you have a health condition, then they'll probably want to know what it is. And eventually, if you get hospitalized, when you come in with your medical paperwork, they're going to see that it was to a mental facility. So it just could be a long road of difficulty for you. Even if they can't legally fire you over a job because of your mental health, they will find a different way to get rid of you if they find you to be a problem more than an asset to the company. So it's really important to find a job that's going to work very, very well with you. And so we've discussed Fiverr, and we have discussed DoorDash type jobs. And today we are going to discuss a little bit about the handyman trade. And the nice thing about being a handyman is if you've done different things with your hands over the years, such as appraising of property or barbecue pit maintenance, old-fashioned grill maintenance, or cabinet resurfacing, plumbing, minor plumbing type stuff, maybe minor electrical stuff, ceiling repair, even cleaning, concrete work, construction work, site cleanup for construction companies or electrical companies or plumbing companies. I consider within the handyman trade, you could also consider house cleaning, commercial cleaning. You could do dog waste cleanup. I consider that kind of in the handyman because some of those you can also do with very minimal experience per se in it, such as cleaning or yard cleanup for their waste, um, um, job site cleanups and stuff like that is all low requirements for your mental uh, training, I guess is a good way to put it. And so, depending on what handyman job you are doing, it can pay really good. It may not pay as well, depending on what you wanted to put as your starting rate. Uh, the what's the name of the website I was going to give you? I wonder I'm up to or down too low. BusinessinsuranceUSA.com in May 1st, 2018 said that in general a handyman in the U.S. earns about $20 per hour, which comes out to about $43,000 per year. But the hourly rate varies quite a bit, ranging from about $12 to $44 per hour. Similarly, the average salary varies from about $25,000 to just under $90,000 per year. So obviously, it also depends on how many hours you want to work. Do you want to stay steady, or do you want to just do a couple jobs a week, charging a little bit more, or do a little bit more jobs a week with maybe charging a little less, or doing more with more money? I mean, the sky's the limit on how you want to set up the process. Another one, which was November 30th, 2016, said that this is on blog.invoiceberry.com, said that after all, the average handyman or maintenance and repair worker only makes about $36,000 a year, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Obviously, there seems to be a wide range of handyman incomes, which means that if you do your business right, you too can enjoy a profitable career as a handyman. So I mean that right there, kind of, it's saying that you can make a lot of money, but then the only number it gives is 36,000. So it's kind of like, what is that really worth as suggestions? But from personal experience, my wife and I tried our hand at cleaning for about a year or so. She might have done cleaning on her own, I think, if my memory serves, a couple years. 1 year with me, a couple years without me. And so her pay ranged anywhere from $12 all the way up to, when we were doing it together, as $30 an hour as a couple doing the work. And that was house cleaning. Was not commercial cleaning of any kind. We never did any of that. But we did do cleaning for a management company, so for their vacation rental houses and stuff like that. We did do work for. That was by the job, but we found difficulties charging by the job with them because that specific company wanted us to keep doing more and more stuff. One of the things they wanted us to do was do the laundry for all the beds that were used and do all the dishes that weren't cleaned, as well as cleaning the houses from top to bottom. And sometimes we'd find that the house, they'd keep a dog in the basement, so there'd be pee everywhere. So I mean, it got really, really messy sometimes. So we eventually told them we didn't want to do the work with them anymore. And they were saying, well, you guys, we were paying you more than we ever paid anybody. And it's like, well, yeah, you could pay us $80 a house, but the problem is if we have to stay there for 3 hours because we're doing laundry, we're not making very much money, especially if we want to be making $30 an hour as our plan. So 3 hours, $30 an hour, that'd be $90. And but if we could go and do other jobs, we don't want to be sitting around sucking our thumbs because we're waiting on a washing machine and stuff like that. So we just did not like that job at all. I would recommend, if you're going to do with a company like that, I would recommend trying to get a friend who's a lawyer, or a friend who has a friend who's a lawyer, or if you've got a little bit of money stashed away, to pay a lawyer to get some contracts, or worst case scenario, go online, see if you can find contract templates on for your local state, for cleaning services and whatnot. Just trying to cover your backside and put right into the contract exactly what they want and what you are willing to do. And then that way, if they say, well, you know what, I decided I want to have you do floorboards every single week. Oh yeah, we could definitely do that, but that's going to be an extra $20 an hour. And then they'd be like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna, or not $20 an hour, but $20 a job, or however way you want to say it, an extra $5 an hour. Or if it's hourly, you just say, yeah, then we're going to say that's going to be an extra 2 hours. And so depending on how you say it, if it's hourly or by the job, then you just raise the price accordingly, or raise the hours accordingly. And I think that would definitely help. And then whenever you do the changes, just do addendums type things, setups that you just add to the contract with both parties to sign, and add it to the original contracts, and file it away, keep files of it, whether it's digital or hard copy. I would recommend keeping both hard and digital copies, because you never know when your computer is going to crash. And if you save it to Google Clouds, or for Google Docs or something like that, then that's a safe way to do it, because you never know when your house may burn down, or a flood in the basement that ruins your hard copies too. So having a special protective setup, such as keeping it in the cloud, you're probably less likely to have to keep it in multiple locations. So those are some recommendations I would recommend if you're going to go the cleaning route. Honestly, I'd say with the handyman job, I would really recommend doing that for the most part anyway. That way, if something happens, you're never going to be held accountable for it at those houses. Such as maybe you're working on adding a wall to this one spot of the house, and you accidentally cut a line, and they got to get an electrician in to fix what you did. Then they're going to want you to pay for it. So you may want to have a contract set up to keep them from holding you liable if that happens. So I'm big on contracts and keeping yourself safe. I've seen things happen over the years that in different businesses where I think contracts would definitely be a much safer way to go, just to keep your your life, your assets safe from these people wanting to go after you. Um, so I'm not suggesting to do things necessarily under the table, illegal. Uh, a lot of these you can definitely do as a legit business. You want to just check your codes and make sure your local states, and see if you are doing plumbing, if you need a plumbing license. If you're just doing little minor repairs, do you need a license? Electrical work, do you need to be an electrician? Um, and if you have to have an electrician come in, you could always be a contracting source, so to speak, where, let's say, they tell you, well, I'll tell you what, if you're bringing me the work and I'm coming to work with you, I'll charge you $50 an hour. And you tell the customer, for 20 or for $70 an hour, I've got an electrician coming in, and he can change out your outlets for you, put it up to code. They're saying $70 an hour is what we're going to charge, and we're looking at 8 hours for the whole job. And that way you get a markup for what he's doing. It's going to take him 8 hours. We'll round it up to 10 hours. That's easier math. You could say 10 hours, and that's $200 extra in your pocket when you're not really doing anything. You're just flipping the paperwork, so to speak, to get the electrician in the door. And all you have to do is make sure the customer pays you. So that's always an option, if you to bypass those difficulties. If you have to have contract, or not contracts, but have to have licenses, you can do that with HVAC. You can do it with plumbing. You can do it with the electricians. I don't know how many. I'm sure you have to have construction licenses in many aspects too. So you could also do that. So really, just as a handyman, you could just really be a guy who's just farming out all this different work. So I've heard that this one guy, he was just talking about putting like a patio roofing with the boards that go across, not even a solid roof. And so I can't remember what they call that, but he charged $2,000 on top of the construction people's work, and they got it done in like 3 to 4 hours. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, he got $2,000 just to do that. I'm like that's really good money. And so depending on what you need, that's a month's worth of income right there for a lot of people. So how hard is it to try to get just one job like that you can farm out a month? That's like 12 jobs a year. So it just really depends on how much money you're really trying to make, especially with your mental health and everything. Jobs like this can definitely work well with you. I noticed a lot of times with mental health, you also can have a lot of physical health problems, so you may have some physical difficulties too. So I find handyman work is definitely a really good option. I mentioned the cleaning. Our state in Michigan, you don't even have to have any licenses, so that's something you can get into right away. Like I said, my wife charged like $12 an hour, up to $20 an hour by herself. You can look around. If you look at companies like Mary Maids, they're charging buku bucks. There's other companies out here that charges more than Mary Maids, and so it's unbelievable how much you can charge. And if you do a good quality job, then that really works. Dog waste cleanup. People are becoming more and more lazy, or they just don't want to spend the time to do it. They're always arguing who's going to go clean the yard. So you could do a one-time cleanup for a yard, and you could charge $150, $200 for one dog for over the winter, because nobody was going out there cleaning it up, and it's going to be a big mess to clean up. And so you can also talk to construction companies, and with their bids, when they're coming in to do the work, they may not want their workers to be working in the yard when there's dog feces everywhere. So you could contract with them that, hey, I'll charge you $20 an hour to clean up all the dog waste if you want to throw that in your bid. And I'll come in, you tell me the day that you guys are going in, and I'm going to go, or every day that you're going in, and I'll go in and clean it up every single day. Make sure that there's absolutely no dog waste lying around while you're working. And So that's one avenue, just to try to drum up some work that way. Uh, there's affordable ways to kind of try to promote your business. You could, and hobby business or whatever you want to call it. Um, you could go to networking groups, chambers of commerce, cold call construction companies and whatnot for what they're doing. Plumbers, electricians, because both have to work in the yard sometimes. So if you could do talk to those people, you might be able to find that they'll be very, very pleased with it. Uh, Now, plumbers may not mind so much because they deal with people's crap all the time anyway. So it just really depends on the job, I guess. But uh, you could do really, really good work. Um, I know an electrician that I know, he'll charge maybe 150, 200 bucks to hang a ceiling fan. Take down the old one, put up a new one. And how many of those a week do you need to do to make money? And you do good work, and they ask for your business card. You can't make up cheap business cards from Staples. You can go on Fiverr and pay somebody for designing you a simple business card, maybe as cheap as $5, and then just tell them that you're going to send it to Staples. So you want to make sure they have it set up where it's going to come out right from Staples, and they can send you the format that you'll need. And go to Staples and pay them like 20, 25 bucks for 1,000 double-sided business card. And then from there, just try to promote word of mouth at those places. You could probably even go to a farmer's market and just sit there and hand out business cards, pay for a spot, and just say, hey, this is what I do. You could even get a simple sign that you can have made fairly cheap at Staples too. I think it's like $15, $20 a square foot. You could just do one of those poster boards that kids would take to school for projects and decorate it up nice and neat, like you're making a project, so to speak, and just advertising what you do. Uh, 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 Local comment boards and whatnot that places will have, like dogs salons and veterinarians. Their offices a lot of times will have billboards that you can post up your business cards, or a flyer where they can pull a tab and take your phone number, things like that too. It's really cheap ways to advertise, and you can do some of these jobs fairly well. Um, Even finding people who buy houses, fix them up, and do uh, rentals, or fix them up and sell them. A lot of them, they'd rather not do all the work. They'd like to buy it for cheap and just have other people do it for cheap labor. And so you can maybe tell them, I'll paint a room for $100 a room, and I'll use a roller and da 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 da. This is the way I'll do it. I'll tape it off. I'll go the extra mile if that's what you want. I'll take off the covers to all the electrical outlets and cover the outlets with tape so that they don't get paint all over them. And I'll go the extra mile that a lot of people won't do, type of thing. And I'll do it for $100, and depending on the size of the room. So maybe say a 10 by 10 room, and things like that. You can easily go on Google and look it up. How much does the average painter make? Painting business charge for a room, and they'll give you like a per square foot for a house. And so if you know that the room's 12 by 12, then you know that's the room would be 144 square feet, and let's say the average is $3 an hour. Well, then you do 3 times 144, and right there, easy math, take off the 44, it's going to be over 300 bucks right there. So it's fairly simple to get handyman jobs set up. You can call it construction cleanup and construction jobs and things like that, however way you want to look at it. Cleaning, I consider handyman quite a large range. I think like the dog waste cleanup, that seems to be really, really big. I see people make a lot of money doing it. They may charge $15, $20 a customer a week for one dog, and they may give $5 off for a second dog, and another $5 off for a third dog. So then you'd be looking at, let's say it's 15, then it'd be 25 for 2, then it'd be you just take 10 off of the normal 15, so then 30 for 3 type of thing, and then from there $10 any extra dog from there or something like that. So it's really easy to make good money, and you can get if you can get contracts with maybe local apartment complexes that allow dogs. Ask them if they're having problems with people cleaning up their dog waste, and they say yeah, and you ask them if they're charging a dog fee, and if they say no, then tell them that well, you could charge them, let's say $5 an apartment, or even $10 an apartment, and for however many dogs they have, and I will come in and you give me $5 per client that has dogs, or $5 per dog that comes into your facility, and I'll work out a deal like that is always an option, and it could add up pretty high. So if there's 100 apartments with dogs, then that's $500 a week or $500 a month that you'd be charging, and say you go in there once a month for $500, or twice a month for $10 a dog, just however way that you want to set it up with them. And the nice thing is yeah, maybe you're not making as much as you would residential at $15 an hour, but you will see that you are doing it all in one lump location, so it's gonna run through faster. You're not spending as much gas. There's always tricks of the trade. You can just look up dog waste cleanup companies and see how they charge, and even call up as if you own a business or a apartment complex, find out what their deals are. Call one out of state and just say, hey, I'm thinking of doing the same thing in my state. Would you give me a quote for this apartment complex size? And just pick a local apartment complex in your area that you were hoping to try to get the job from. And so those are some suggestions that I would give. The nice thing is jobs like this, you set your schedule. So if you're really not feeling good that day, you can call it up and say, hey, something came up big time. I really have to reschedule, so I'm going to come out tomorrow instead of today. Hope that's not an inconvenience for you, and just work it out really well with your clients that way, and you'll find that it will work really well. And sometimes you may have some that know it has to be done today, but yeah, maybe you're really depressed and don't want to get off the couch today, but one house that refused to reschedule, you go there, takes you 20 minutes, you still make the $15 and then go home. And so it's not as bad as doing 10 houses that day like you were going to do. So there's always ways around it to make it simpler. So those are my suggestions. I hope they were helpful, and I really would like you to hit that like button for me, so that it will help me with the ratings on YouTube, and I hope my suggestions were beneficial to you, and I wish you the best of luck. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit me up in the comments if you have any questions or other handyman type job ideas that maybe I didn't even think of, and we can go from there. Thank you.